Yash, let's get into it. I had a good suggestion from a girl, and I think it speaks to probably every girl, maybe. And it's about how this collective pain that women are usually born with due to the past mistreatment from men, this abuse, how do you let that go? That's what we're going to talk about. This is a big subject. I mean, I could talk all day on it, and it's not just past, previous collective pain. It can be also this life. That's even worse. Then you got the previous collective pain, plus you got the pain that you've absorbed by men this life. And I'm going to tell you, I was surprised when I started getting into this work and doing more consultations with women. I mean, the amount of women that have been raped or date raped or incest, I mean, it's way up there. It's like, I don't know the percent. I don't know. 50%? I don't know. It's pretty way up there, though. The past collective pain that I'm talking about, and I've talked before, did I forget the word again? I called it the whole, it's a few centuries ago, where the priest would burn the women at the stake because they called them witches, because the women were just being women. They were in touch with their innocent feminine nature. And then these priests who took the vow of celibacy, which they're on no level to do that. You guys see how hard it is to preserve your sexual energy and do semen retention. So what do you think? You think they're no different? They can't just take a vow of celibacy. They're not at that level. So they would think they are. And then a nice girl would walk by and they'd get all out of sorts. They'd want to have sex with her, but they couldn't admit that. So they justify and blame it on her. Oh, she's a witch. She's doing magic on me. It's not that I'm weak as hell and I just can't handle her energy. No. They're doing spells on me. It's cold out right now. So they'd burn them. Okay. When we're born in this body, we have a certain amount of collective karma and personal karma. I got to get into this a little bit, those that are feeling it, okay, those that are not okay. So the collective, and we all, depending, males have their own collective personal karma, women have their own collective personal karma, but a big chunk of this collective karma that women carry when they're being born, when they're in the womb, even before they're born, is this mistreatment, pain, and abuse that was dished out to them by these previous centuries of what men did. In fact, there could be some of these the women who got burned back then that are incarnating now. I'm not going to get too deep into that. That's more on my spiritual channel, or you can see my playlist Karma and Reincarnation, which is on this channel, and if you want to know more about that. From the people, generally speaking, the people that I worked with, if it's a guy that's been, let's say, abused or raped versus a woman, a guy, generally speaking, can kind of bounce back from that a little better. A woman, it's like, man, it's hard. It's harder to recover from that. It's like they're more fragile or something, and it messes with their psyche. But at the same time, I'm not, you see, you gotta be careful. I'm not condemning a woman who has this pain, rather it be what we're, the previous pain, collective pain that I'm talking about, or this life, if you had pain from incest abuse or been raped or whatever. I'm not saying that you're condemned to be a victim, to carry this victim energy your whole life. That's a stage for sure, because you can't just say, I'm really cold. You can't just say, just whatever happened to you, just let it go. It's not real. Your spirit's untouched. There's a time and place, though. One has to let that grieving process happen, and then later, okay, when we've processed how you really feel, see, that's important. You gotta know, you gotta allow that to hurt for a little bit and to see what that feels like, because you can't transcend something that's not there to transcend. Okay, so then later, after that, you can say shadow work or inner work's been done, earthbound work. Then the next stage, and this happens organically, not because any teacher or therapist is telling you this, it happens organically, where it's time to even let go of that. And then if you have a spiritual practice, you start to become more in touch with your true essence, which is consciousness. It's not this body. The more that we realize our true nature, the more automatically we see, wait a minute, nothing can really hurt me. They can't hurt my spirit. You can't hurt my consciousness. You can only hurt my body. I know who I am beyond my body, so I'm not really affected by that anymore. But it's still, as long as you carry this body, there's still some memory of it, and there can still be some energetic residue. You see, it's a balance. That's the thing that it gets missed a lot when we're talking about like complex, subjects, is it's not all or nothing. It's not like, oh, my dad raped me, but I love him. He's spirit and I'm spirit and everything's good. There's people that do that, that talk like that. They're just lying to themselves. So it's not that. It's also not where you just constantly focus on that all the time. And then anytime you get into a relationship with the guy, that past pain starts playing out. You don't realize that, and then you start beating the guy because basically he takes the place of the person who used to abuse you, whether it be this life or the previous lives, because you're not aware of this collective pain. So it's both. We have both the transcendent level that's in us that hasn't been touched by the pain, but we also have this human aspect that is affected by that. But we can't, you got to be aware of that. You have to be aware first if you're carrying some pain. The average person's going to say, no, I don't have any pain. But yet they're acting out sexually and promiscuously and doing all kind of fetishes. I'm talking about women. Why are you doing that? See, what I've found is when women when they've been abused or raped, it's like they take it, it's like it gets sexualized almost all the time. They become, they get into fetishes. They like guys who, like multiple, like one girl and 5 guys, or have a lot of fantasies about being raped, even though they were raped, and they don't want to repeat that. There's fantasies about them getting raped again. What else? Excessive masturbation, porn, etc. Why? Because it's a mechanism the mind uses. Because they were powerless in the past, they were victims. Now, by doing this, even though it's unhealthy, these sexual actions and habits, they feel somehow they're in control of it, though. See? They say, no, I'm choosing. They don't even, a lot of it's unconscious. They don't even articulate it like this. I'm articulating it for them. They're saying, no, I'm choosing to have sex with 4 guys at the same time. I'm not a victim. I'm choosing it. That's kind of a backwards, unconscious, ineffective way to manage the past times where they were powerless and a victim in abusive situations that they couldn't help. You see? That pattern can go on for a long time. That's the problem. And those are the girls who have problems with sex addiction and masturbation, porn addiction, fetishes, etc. Are there girls now who do that and they haven't been abused and stuff? Well, yeah, there's always exceptions. That's why I say generally speaking. I'm talking generally speaking. How do you get rid and let go of this, both collective pain, or if you've had abuse in this life? I've touched on it. You gotta first become aware of it. Now, going to a therapist, does that help? It can. It's cool. Some people, if we're really like beginners with getting in touch with our feelings and articulating them, which is fine. I'm not saying the word beginner in a derogatory way, but when I was 20, I don't know, 21, 22, I went to a therapist for, I don't know, a year and a half. And because I was on these damn pharmaceutical meds, which blocked, like I didn't know what I felt. I couldn't get in touch with myself because my mind was being dulled. My consciousness was being dulled. Whether it's by pharmaceutical drugs or street drugs, it doesn't matter. That's why a lot of people, they don't know how they feel because they're like cut off, you know. So you got to look at your lifestyle and see, like, what am I doing? Not just with drugs or pharmaceutical meds, just your lifestyle in general. Are you doing certain habits and addictions and eating certain foods that kind of dull you? Put a haze over your being? Because this is first step. You gotta stop doing all that as best as you can, and then you start to get purified. Automatically, the intelligence of the organism is going to start bringing things to the surface that, whereas before you didn't know they were there. So then, if you want some help, you can get a therapist or somebody, some guide or teacher to help maybe facilitate that process with you. Somebody you can trust, though. Somebody who, because when that stuff starts happening, a lot of time the girls will default back into this tendency to try to win the guy over. They want to maybe, they want to get the sexual attention from the therapist or from their teacher or something. So you need somebody who already knows that and doesn't bite, Why do the girls do that? Because it's like a way to validate themselves. They're like, whoa, if I can get this person's attention, I must really be something, because they're insecure deep inside. See how convoluted and complex the human psyche and all this is? It's just a mess, isn't it? So you gotta start somewhere, though. So when you start to purify and rebalance your life and put down the addictions and all that stuff, you start to get current with yourself. These feelings start to come up. You start to look at them. When you look at them, then there's automatically more space between you and them. You and them. And so then letting them go becomes automatic. It just becomes easier. It's organic. Once you do that long enough, at some point, you're going to start to see, wait a minute, though, this was never really me. Who we take ourselves to be, most people, is this human entity that has all these problems and trauma and successes. We're none of those. We're not the trauma or the successes. We're the consciousness in which this human show is happening in. You can see my spiritual channel, Spiritual Renaissance, more for that. But I had to touch on it here because we're talking about how to transcend it. This is how you transcend it. You can't transcend it on the level of the mind, not totally. Which means like human level, therapy level. That's just human level. That's cool. It gets us started. At some point, we got to leave that, though, if we really want to be free. Otherwise, the women will still hold on to this resentment toward men. It can be buried and unconscious, and then you meet somebody, and then after a little time, they do something wrong, or it'll come out during sex at some point that you won't be able to trust them. You're going to flash back to the person who abused you or was the perpetrator in the past. They're going to become that. And then you're going to start torturing them. I know. I've been in that situation. And it's good. Now I can talk about it. I won't be in it anymore, though. So you can say, once we do the earthbound work and a spiritual practice, and remember, we got to have a balanced lifestyle so that we can do the earthbound work. Otherwise, these things will still stay buried. Our lifestyle will be in such a way, it's like the negative side will make us attract us to negative things, that it keeps all this stuff buried. You see? We got to catch that. So when you live a purifying lifestyle, these feelings, emotions, trauma, everything, it's going to start to come up. You can do a little plant medicine if you want, go to South America, do some ayahuasca or San Pedro if that's right for you. Or not, doesn't matter. It's kind of a fast track, though. You get in touch with all that. At the same time, have a spiritual practice that's designed to show you who you are beyond the body. Who you are is consciousness. When this body dies, you're going to find that out. But find that out now. The consciousness doesn't have a form, but it wants to experience. It wants for the game of life. So what does it do? It creates this virtual reality equipment, and then it goes in it, body, mind, emotions, and then it starts experiencing life. But the damn equipment is so real, consciousness is such a good inventor, that it forgets that it's the virtual reality equipment. You see? So spiritual practice it's designed to show us we're not this equipment. Then real transcendence can happen. It's too cold. So I hope you got something from that. Let me know. Let me know any questions you have. I'm trying to make... there's a lot of girls out there that are suffering with this. It's not just... yeah, this channel shouldn't be just for guys. I mean, girls are starting to come slowly. And yeah, let's see how it unfolds. All right? Let me know any more questions you have. See you.